Don in London, hello, it's November the 5th, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance was alcohol, my behaviour, trying to be the best I could, and horribly, probably trying to be perfect, and never so. So these days, it's all about learning who I am on a daily basis, making a bit of progress, never perfect, always a learner, all those good things. And how did addiction affect me over those 35 years? Well, not really understanding myself, putting on a brave face, had a lot of fear inside me, didn't even recognise I was fearful because I'd lived with it for so long. And that's the problem often. We become dependent, then addicted, and sometimes we can even be addicted to the fear inside us, because without it we have a gap. And what do we do with the gap? If we're lucky, we stop filling it with alcohol or substances or behaviour, and behaviour like workaholic, relationshipaholic, you name it, we can do it. So these days, life is about recovery one day at a time for me, and I will never be recovered, or maybe I could say I was recovered yesterday, although I would debate that too. Anyway, the gift is to be in sobriety one day at a time, and what got me there? Family, friends, community, keeping me alive long enough to have that moment of clarity where I understood I could not beat this on my own, and I was always taught self-will, to use my inner resources as best I could, and not to give up. And the problem was with addiction, I tried not to give up and use I did try to give up alcohol and use self-will, and self-will turned into self-obsession, and I've never known willpower to win out in the end. Ultimately it breaks, because we are human, and a single resource on its own going in one direction, the wrong direction probably, like an Exocet missile, it's very hard to divert off its course. So fortunately we're human, and sometimes we get the message, we need help. So I got help, more professionals, more help to get me into a place of detoxed and dry. Certainly not sober in the sense of emotional, physical and spiritual sobriety. That came with understanding that I needed to have long-term support. And where do I get long-term support? I get it from AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's a fellowship full of people who are unique and authentic, and continue to be unique and authentic. And I don't speak for them, never can, never will, never want to. The whole point of sobriety is to find our path, which is unique to us. We have this similarity in the fellowship, a desire not to drink. And in the statement of intent which I share here, which is called the AA Preamble, shared at every meeting, it gives us hope on a daily basis, and it goes like this. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and to help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And what a gift to be allowed a daily reprieve, to make the best of what we have in front of us, and to learn how to love ourselves, to love other people, and have something useful to do. And that can be in any arena of life, from work to personal relationships, to having dreams which can be achieved, and living less in fantasy probably, but sometimes we need fantasy to actually spark our reality, or maybe it's the other way around. Reality sparks the fantasy, and then we work on how to make it happen. So however it happens, however we find our path evolving, as long as we keep our feet on the ground, even when we've got our head in the clouds, I suspect that's a good thing. And the quote I used on Facebook this morning, a no uttered with conviction is better than a half-hearted yes, which is from Gandhi. A no uttered with conviction is better than a half-hearted yes. is very often what we need to do to start trying to find our path. That is, no, that's not good for me, and I need to follow my path. And that's very much what the fellowship and the programme teaches, how to do this in a fair way, being no bigger and no smaller than anybody else, and say yes to the right things which are good for us, and no to the things which are going to harm us or cause us distress. Sometimes we have to do things simply because they need to be done. That's just part of life. But the gift is knowing what is good for us on a daily basis, and sobriety is good for me. So emotional, physical and spiritual sobriety is what I aim for. Never perfect, always a learner, and the gift is I'm just learning as I go, same as everybody else. So I try not to close my mind to other people's ideas or outlooks, but develop an attitude and behaviour which keeps me in the spirit of life, in the moment of now. And I share daily reflections here, a 1 page a day, all about recovery, and in the daily reflections it covers one step of the 12-step action programme per month, and this month is November. However did it get to November? And November is step 11, which reads, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. And when it says God as we understood him, it actually means the God of your understanding. And I often say, there are 6.5 billion people plus on the planet, and each person has an understanding of God, whether they believe or not. And often it's based on life experience. So life experiences can make us feel like an agnostic, an atheist, or a God believer, and it's our journey. But for me, as Gandhi said, apart from saying a half-hearted no is better than a yes uttered with no conviction, God is truth, God is love, God works through people. So if God is truth, not my interpretation of it, but just truth in general, universal truth, God is love, God works through people, I can hear the wisdom of others, which can then inform my outlook, my attitude and my behaviour. So, daily reading for today, Quality of Faith, November the 5th. This has to do with the quality of faith. In no deep or meaningful sense have we ever taken stock of ourselves. We have not even prayed rightly. We've always said, grant me my wishes instead of thy will be done. And that's where we take the focus of ourselves and put it on what is reality. So it goes on to say, God does not grant me material possessions, take away my suffering, or spare me from disasters, but he does give me a good life, the ability to cope and peace of mind, if I'm sober, of course. My prayers are simple. First, they express my gratitude for the good things in my life, regardless of how hard I have to search for them. And second, I ask only for the strength and the wisdom to do his will, that is to the good of good conscience in my view today. He answers with solutions to my problems, sustaining my ability to live through daily frustrations with a serenity I did not believe existed, and with the strength to practice the principles of AA in all my everyday affairs, which is to the good of good conscience. And that is an absolute gift for me, to be able to access good conscience, try to do no harm. Doesn't mean I'm a walkover. Sometimes I have very strong opinions on what is good for me and what is not good for me. And sometimes it means that I can't like everybody, can I? I can love people, I can hate their behaviour. So it doesn't stop me loving them. That sometimes behaviour excludes them from my personal arena. Why am I saying this? Because I'm human. And I was going to quote from As Bill Sees It, but I see I've run short of time. And what's important to me every day is acceptance. Acceptance of what is and what can be done, and knowing what cannot be done. And I am powerless always over people, places and things. So I need not try and exert my will over them. So step 1 of the programme, powerlessness, saves my bacon most days. So the acceptance prayer to God or good conscience, as you understand him, she or it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference is simply and only just for today.